The Toyota 4Runner is a mid-size sport utility vehicle produced by the Japanese manufacturer Toyota and sold throughout the world from 1984 to present. In Japan it was known as the Toyota Hilux Surf. The original 4Runner was a compact SUV and little more than a Toyota pickup truck with a fiberglass shell over the bed, but the model has since undergone significant independent development into a cross between a compact and a mid-size SUV. All 4Runners have been built at Toyota's Tahara plant at Tahara, Aichi, Japan, or at Hino Motors Hamura, Japan plant, and in Brazil. Its mid-size crossover SUV counterpart is the Toyota Highlander. Hilux Surf models in Japan are widely exported as used vehicles to Somalia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, United Kingdom, Ireland, New Zealand, and Australia. For Southeast Asia the Hilux Surf was replaced in 2005 by the similar Fortuner, which is based on the Hilux platform. Predecessor, Toyota Trekker. The Toyota Trekker was one of the first prototype walkthrough conversions done to Toyota trucks in the early 1980s. They were similar to the successive 4Runner conversions done by Toyota, which started production in 1984, but were designed and built by Winnebago with the approval of Toyota. The Toyota Trekker was produced from early 1981 through 1983. The Trekkers were all pickup trucks, classified as SR5 or deluxe models originally by van number, but were all classified SR5 after assembly. Toyota shipped all trucks from Japan as cab and chassis only to get past the 25% chicken tax of truck imports into the U.S. While many trucks went on to have a bed installed on them in the U.S., some went to Winnebago for the Trekker kit installation. The Trekker conversion consisted of a fiberglass tub, bed sides, canopy and rear hatch. The kit included a folding rear seat that could lay flat to add cargo space to the back. About 1,500 of the Trekkers were built, 200 went overseas to various countries, 800 stayed in the U.S. Most stayed on the West Coast, 500 of the Trekker conversion kits were sent to Canada, and 20 were sold to Saudi Arabia to be installed at their destination by the selling dealer. The Trekkers were no longer a viable conversion when Toyota started producing the 4Runner in 1984. First generation. For the first generation N60 series Hilux Surf and export specification 4Runner introduced in 1984, Toyota, instead of developing an entirely new model, modified the existing Hilux with short bed pickup body. The Hilux had undergone a major redesign in 1983 for the 1984 model year. Changes included the removal of the panel with integrated rear window from behind the front seats, the addition of rear seats, and a removable fiberglass canopy. The implementation was borrowed from both the first-generation Ford Bronco, and the Chevrolet K5 Blazer, both short-bed trucks with removable fiberglass shells over the rear sections and having bench seats installed in the back. Like the Bronco and the Blazer, the Hilux Surf/4Runner also did not have a wall attached to the front section behind front seats as the regular Hilux did. In that sense, all three vehicles were not conventional pickup trucks with a fiberglass shell included. Thus, the first generation is nearly mechanically identical to the Toyota Hilux. All first-generation 4Runners had two doors and were indistinguishable from the pickups from the dashboard forward. Nearly all changes were to the latter half of the body. In fact, because the rear springs were not upgraded to bear the additional weight from the rear seats and fiberglass top, these early models tended to suffer from a sagging rear suspension. In North America, they were sold from the 1984 one-half model year from May 1984. For this first year, all models were equipped with black or white fiberglass tops. An Steradian 5 trim package was offered that upgraded the interior, additional gauges, better fabrics, and a rear seat were standard with the package. All 1984 models were equipped with the carbureted 2.4L22 engine and were all available with a four-wheel drive system that drove the front wheels through a solid front axle. 1985 saw the arrival of the electronically fuel-injected 2.4L22 also called 22 CI4 engine. This upped the horsepower numbers from 100 HP for the 22R, to 116 HP for the 22E engine, though the carbureted engine remained available until 1988. Additionally, rear seats were available in all 1985 4Runner trim levels, not just the more upscale SR5. In 1986, the Surf/4Runner underwent a major front suspension design change as it was changed from a solid front axle to the high-track independent front suspension. Track width was also increased by 3 inches. These changes made the trucks more comfortable on road, and improved stability and handling. The new suspension also increased the space in the engine compartment but arguably decreased the truck's off-road capabilities. The North American specification Toyota pickup also adopted this new suspension, but the regular Hilux for other markets at this point retained the more rugged and capable, if less refined, solid axle configuration. With the 1986 update, the Surf/4Runner grille changed from the 3-segment type to the 2-segment grille. Tops were color-matched on blue, red and some gold models, while other body colors were still sold with black or white tops. A turbocharged version of the 22RE engine was also introduced in 1986, although this engine is significantly rarer than the base 22RE. It appears that all turbocharged 4Runner models sold in the US were equipped with an automatic transmission, though a 5-speed manual could still be ordered in the turbocharged pickups. Most turbocharged 4Runners were equipped with the SR5 package, and all turbo trucks had as standard a heavier rear differential later used in the V6 model. Low-option models had a small light in the gauge cluster to indicate turbo boost, while more plush vehicles were equipped with an all-digital gauge cluster that included a boost gauge. Turbocharged and naturally aspirated diesel engines were also available in the pickups at this time as well, but it appears that no diesel-powered 4Runners were imported to the United States. During 1984 to 1986 many 4Runners were imported to the U.S. without rear seats. With only 2 seats the vehicle could be classified as a truck and could skirt the higher customs duties placed upon sport and pleasure vehicles. Most had aftermarket seats and seat belts added by North American dealers after they were imported. In 1987, the 22RE engine was joined by an optional 3.0L V6 engine, the 3VZE. This engine was significantly larger and more powerful although not as reliable than the original 4-cylinder offering. Trucks sold with the V6 engine were equipped with the same heavy-duty rear differential that was used in the turbocharged trucks, as well as a completely new transmission and transfer case. The transfer case was chain-driven, although considered less rugged, created less cab noise than the old gear-driven unit used behind the 4-cylinder engine. An engine which was not used in the US market and rarely in the Japanese domestic market pickups was the 3Y engine, which was used in place of the 22R engine in New Zealand models, followed more rarely by the 4Y 2.2 petrol and later versions. This was a decision by Toyota New Zealand to reduce parts required to be stocked by dealers as no other Toyotas sold in New Zealand at the time utilized the R-Series engines. Small cosmetic and option changes were made in 1988 for the 1989 model year, but the model was left largely untouched in anticipation of the replacement model then undergoing final development. Second generation. Toyota issued a second generation of Hilux Surf and 4Runner in 1989 for the 1990 model year. Known as the N120 per Newton 130 series, these models continued their reliance on the Hilux pickup as a basis. It represented a fundamental departure from the first-generation model. Instead of an enhanced pickup truck with fiberglass cap, the new 4Runners featured a freshly designed, full-steel integrated body mounted on the existing frame. However, the 4Runner did remain virtually identical to the Hilux from the B-pillars forward. It also gained an all-new coil-sprung rear suspension system, which unfortunately proved to be just as prone to sagging as the leaf springs on the rear of the previous models. Nearly all second-generation 4Runners were 4-door models. However, from launch in 1989 to May 1993, a 2-door model was also produced. These models are similar to the 4-door models of the time in that the bodies were formed as a single unit, instead of the fiberglass tops used in the first-generation 4Runners. 2-door cars of the second generation are extremely rare. U.S. sales ended in August 1992, but it continued to be available in the Canadian market through 1993, and Japan until May 1993. Because the drivetrain was still developed from the same source, the available engines were identical. The same 2.40L four-cylinder and 3.0L V6 engines were available in rear-wheel drive and four-wheel drive layouts. The new 4Runner used the independent front suspension that had been developed on the previous generation. The older style gear-driven transfer case was phased out, and both engines now had chain-driven cases, probably to cut down cab noise and vibration. The Hilux Surf version for the Japanese market was also available with a range of diesel engines, including a 2.4L turbo diesel 2L TEI4 up to 1993, followed by a 3.0L turbo diesel 1KZ TEI4. Small numbers were also made with a normally aspirated 2.8L diesel 3LI4, a 2.0L 3YI4 naturally aspirated gasoline engine, and 2.4L 22REI4 gasoline engine. The majority of petrol versions of the Hilux Surf received the 3.0L V6. Various trim levels were offered in Japan ranging from the base model SSR through SSR Limited, SSR VSSRX and SSRX Limited to the range-topping SSRG. Japanese models are distinguished from the export specification 4Runner by having a side-opening tailgate as opposed to the 4Runner's lift-up tailgate. Most other full-body SUVs produced at the time featured tailgates that opened upward with the glass closed. In contrast, the second-generation 4Runner carried over the retractable glass tailgate from the first generation. Opening these tailgates requires first retracting the rear window into the tailgate and then lowering the tailgate much like as on a pickup truck. In 1991 for the 1992 model year, the 4Runner received minor cosmetic updates, including one-piece front bumpers and modular headlamps instead of the increasingly outdated rectangular sealed beams. This facelift distanced the 4Runner somewhat from the Hilux pickups which did not receive the same cosmetic changes. At this time a wide-body version was introduced featuring extended wheel arch flares along with wider wheels and tires. Additional cosmetic changes occurred between 1993 and 1995, the last year of the second generation. Safety. Both the first and second generation 4Runners became targeted as unsafe SUVs. 1980s and early 1990s U.S. crash regulations were not very strict for light trucks, and all early model 4Runners were fitted with doors that offered little protection in the event of a side collision. In most areas, there was little more than 2 pieces of sheet metal in the window to keep incoming vehicles from impacting passengers. The crash test rating for the second-generation 4Runner was 1 star for the driver's side in a frontal collision, although the passenger side got a 4-star rating. Later, more stringent crash regulations mandated doors that offered as much protection as passenger car doors. The most common accusations, however, were that 4Runners were prone to rollovers. Many light SUVs at the time featured comparatively high centers of gravity and, given the right situations, could be flipped over. Whether or not this is a serious road hazard is dependent on many parameters, including the speed of the vehicle, the tires fitted to the vehicle, the road surface, and the driver's ability to predict and correct for situations that may result in a rollover. Third-generation 4Runners were designed with a wider track, but it is unclear if this was directly in response to increased pressure from safety groups, or if it was simply a product engineering decision. Airbags for both the driver and passenger were added in 1995. Third generation, in 1995 marked another significant redesign of the 4Runner, with an all-new body shell on an all-new chassis. This time, it shared virtually nothing with the pickup it had originally evolved from, and shared its chassis with that of the Land Cruiser Prado four-door wagon. Whereas the transition to the second-generation 4Runner was one that kept the build quality and options roughly on par with the rest of the mid-size SUV market, the changes made in the third generation turned the 4Runner into a more luxury-oriented vehicle. This move paralleled the changes to the 1996 Nissan Pathfinder, but moved the 4Runner into a distinctly different class from its older competitors, the Ford Explorer, Chevrolet Blazer, and Isuzu Rodeo. The third-generation 4Runner did, however, look very similar to the second generation. The third-generation 4Runner also featured new engines that are also installed in the first-generation Toyota Tacoma pickup trucks, 2.7 L3RZ FEI4 replacing the previous 2.4 L22 or EI4. 150 HP max horsepower at 4800 RPMs, and 177 lb-ft max torque at 4000 RPMs. 3.4 L5VZ FE-V6 replacing the previous 3.0 L3VZ EV6. 183 HP horsepower at 4800 RPMs, and 217 lb-ft max torque at 3600 RPMs. In 1996 the 4Runner was dropped from sale in the UK, to be replaced by the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado, which was badged as the Toyota Land Cruiser Colorado. Significant changes from the second-generation models include a larger body on a longer wheelbase, increased interior space, increased cargo space, dual airbags, ABS, lift-up tailgate, coil spring suspension all-round, rack and pinion steering, and aerodynamic contour-designed glass headlights. Additionally, Hilux Surf versions immediately moved to 16-inch wheels and gained a center differential, enabling the use of four-wheel drive on hard surfaces without complication for the first time. The prior system was retained to give on-the-fly shifting between rear and four-wheel drive as before. The new 4Runner was also available with a factory-installed selectable electric locker in the rear differential, a first for the 4Runner but available since 1993 in the Toyota Land Cruiser. 1997 models received a few minor updates, including the addition of a color-keyed cargo cover. 1998 remained largely unchanged, save for a few changes in the electronics. More ergonomic switch control panels and a newly designed four-spoke steering wheel, which also necessitated a redesign of the airbag system. 1999 models received both major cosmetic and interior enhancements. A new fat lip bumper was designed to allow for an extended crush zone on the front of the frame, as well as new multi-parabola-style headlights, projector-style fog lamps, and updated side marker lights and front turn signals. Vehicles with limited and Highlander trim received color-keyed running boards, front and rear bumpers, mud flaps and flares. The ergonomics of the interior was completely changed, moving all the controls to the center of the dash for the rear window and defrost. The limited trucks also received a brand new electronic temp control and upgraded stereo. The Multimatic transmission became available as an option for 4WD 4Runners in 1999, giving the option of AWD operation. 2001 models received new transparent tail lights and new front grille design. The wheels were also changed to a 5-spoke design rim. Limited models received newly designed 5-spoke wheels as well, however different from SR5 and base model. Also included was a new, sleeker side view mirror design. SR5 and base model 4Runners also have redesigned climate control units utilizing 3 knobs and 2 buttons, contrary to the 1999 model's 2 sliders and 2 knobs. 2001 models were equipped with Vehicle Stability Control Standard, and 4WD models came standard with the Multimatic transmission. The optional E-locker for the rear differential was dropped in 2001. Fourth generation, the fourth-generation 4Runner incorporated serious changes to the chassis and body of the vehicle, but was targeted at approximately the same demographics as the third generation. Based on the Land Cruiser Prado 120 series, the new 4Runner retained the same basic exterior styling themes, and was still marketed as a mid-size semi-luxury SUV with off-road capabilities. Available trims are currently the SR5, Sport Edition, and limited models. An all-new LEV-certified 4.0 L1 grain FEV6 which produces 245 HP and 282 lb-ft of torque is standard, but for the first time, a V8 became available, the ULEV-certified 4.70 L2 UZFE engine which in the US produced 235 HP and 320 lb-ft in model years 2003 and 2004, then, with the addition of VVTi, 260 HP and 306 lb-ft from model years 2005 or Euro 2009. Fuel economy is estimated at 17 mpg city, 20 mpg highway for the V6 and 15/19 mpg for the V8. Towing capacity is 5,000 lb on V6 models and 7,300 pounds on RWD V8 models. The 4Runner first entered dealer showrooms in October 2002 for the 2003 model year. 3 trims levels were offered: SR5, Sport Edition, and Limited. When it was first introduced, the SR5 and Sport Edition models used grey plastic cladding and bumpers. Sport models also featured a non-functional hood scoop. The front suspension used a double wishbone while the rear is a solid rear axle type. The 4Runner continued to use a body-on-frame construction design and a solid rear axle for strength and durability, compromising interior room and on-road handling. Toyota's other mid-size SUV, the Highlander, is a crossover which is not designed for off-roading. The optional 4WD systems were full-time on V8 models while multi-mode, or part-time on V6 models. Both systems used a lockable torsion center differential. A new suspension system, X-relative absorber system, became standard on the Sport Edition and optional for SR5 and Limited models. A rear auto-leveling height-adjustable air suspension is included with this option on Limited models. The XREAS system links the dampers diagonally by means of hydraulic hoses and fluid using a mechanical center valve which reduces body roll during hard cornering. All 4Runners were equipped with skid plates for the engine, transfer case, and fuel tank to prevent damage during off-roading. The Hill Start Assist control system prevents the 4Runner from rolling backwards on inclines, and a downhill assist control modulates the brakes and throttle automatically without driver inputs for smooth hill descents at very low speeds. Both electronic aids are standard on 4WD models. Major standard features included a tilt and telescoping steering wheel, remote keyless entry, single-zone automatic climate control, power driver's lumbar support, power rear tailgate window, and on V8 models a tow hitch receiver bolted directly to the rear frame crossmember. Options included home link, an electrochromic auto-dimming rear view mirror, power moonroof, third-row seating, a DVD-based navigation system, a 10-speaker JBL synthesis stereo, and rear seat audio. An optional backup camera system on Limited models used 2 cameras mounted on the interior's D-pillars to give a wider view when backing up. Some trim levels get 2 mirrors mounted on the interior D-pillars just inside the rear hatch. In 2009, with the end of this generation, Toyota Japan ceased production of the Hilux Surf, leaving only the 4Runner available in the subsequent model series. Safety. All 4Runners came with Toyota's Star safety system, which includes anti-lock brakes, electronic brake force distribution, brake assist, traction control and vehicle stability control. Side torso airbags for the front rows as well as side curtain airbags for the front and rear rows were optional on 2003 and Euro 2007 models and became standard on 2008 models. The April 2007 Insurance Institute for Highway Safety report also shows the 4Runner to have one of the lowest death rates for all vehicles on the road at only 13 deaths per million registered vehicle years during calendar years 2002 and Euro 2005. Only the Infiniti G35 and BMW 7 Series had lower rates. The IIHS rates the 4Runner as good overall in the frontal offset crash test and good overall in the side impact test on vehicles with side airbags. These scores rank the 4Runner as among the best truck-based mid-size SUVs in crash tests. The 4Runner received the good rating in 13 of the 14 measured categories. Model year changes. In early 2003, Toyota added an optional appearance package for the SR5 model that included color-keyed cladding, bumpers, and liftgate trim. In April 2003, Toyota made the appearance package, along with the previously optional fog lamps, running boards, and 16-inch aluminum wheels, standard on the SR5. The Sport Edition also added black running boards and color-keyed trim, replacing the grey cladding and silver-painted grille, door handles and liftgate trim. In late 2003, a tire pressure monitoring system was added as standard equipment. A third-row seat became optional on the SR5 and Limited models. In 2004, enhancements were brought to the optional V8 engine and a 5-speed automatic was made standard on the V6 model. Slight changes were made to the exterior, including color-keyed bumper trim on the SR5 and Limited, a chrome grille on the SR5, a black roof rack and running boards on the Limited, and a redesigned rear spoiler. A salsa red pearl scheme was also introduced for all trim levels, although a similar color scheme was available for third-generation models. 2005 marked the fourth generation's mid-cycle refresh. The changes included revised front and rear bumpers, a reworked grille, new projector-beamed headlamps and LED tail lamps, additional chrome trim on the SR5 model, and a smoked chrome grille with tubular roof rack and step bars on the Sport Edition. The revised front bumper features circular fog lights and a relocation of the turn signals to the headlamp assembly. The redesigned bumper eliminates the rear bumper reflectors. MP3 playback capability and an auxiliary input jack were added to all audio systems. In addition, the Limited model was further differentiated from the other trim levels with the addition of unique 18-inch wheels and a seat memory system. Shadow mica was added as a color option. In 2006, the 4Runner remained unchanged. In 2007, the 4Runner received standard rollover sensing side curtain airbags and front row side torso airbags, a switch to disable vehicle stability control, slightly modified front grille design, refinements in the tire pressure monitoring system, and some changes in the seatbelt warning system and brake system control. An Urban Runner package was also available on the Sport Edition V6 4x4, which added an in-dash TomTom navigation system, Alcantara inserts in both the front and back seats with dark leather bolstering, the 18-inch Limited-style wheels, a color-keyed front grille and a double-decker cargo system. In 2008 the 4Runner remained unchanged. A Trail Edition package offered an electronic locking rear differential, advanced traction control and Bilstein dampers. Later models offered a DVD rear seat entertainment system which used a 9-inch LCD screen and 2 wireless headphones. Fifth generation. The fifth-generation 4Runner was unveiled at the Texas State Fair on September 24, 2009. It is available in 3 trim levels, 2 of which were available previously. The base SR5 trim as well as the top-of-the-line Limited trim are available as a 2WD or a 4WD. The new Trail Edition is only available as a 4WD. The SR5 and Trail Edition 4WDs will receive a part-time 4WD drive system, while the Limited will have full-time 4WD. All models will come with A-Track. The new Trail Edition offers Toyota's kinetic dynamic suspension system and crawl control which had previously only been available to premium Toyota vehicles, as well as a rear locking differential like the previous Trail package. The 4.0-liter V6 adds dual VVT-I which improves horsepower, torque and fuel economy, and comes standard in all models. A 2.7-liter O4 was available on 2WD models, but was discontinued after the 2010 model year. The 4.7-liter V8 from the previous generation was not carried over to the fifth-generation 4Runner. The 4Runner is built on the same platform as the FJ Cruiser. In early 2014, the 4Runner received a facelift with Toyota badging on the front as well as an off-road package as part of the TRD Pro Series. The TRD New Pro Series 4Runner included TRD Bilstein shocks with remote reservoirs, TRD tuned front springs and TRD front skid plate. All North American 2014 model year 4Runner models are powered by a 4.0-liter V6 engine with intelligent variable valve timing that can develop 201 kW and 377 Nm of torque. It is mated to a 5-speed automatic ECT transmission. Sales, references. External links, official websites, Brazil, US, history of the 4Runner from off-road.com. 4Runner history from toyotaoffroad.com. History of the Toyota 4Runner is the first of 4 pages describing the history of the 4Runner. Directory of 4Runner personal websites. A comprehensive directory of active personal 4Runner websites. Photo gallery. 2010 Return of a rock star that didn't unregistered trademark T crossover 4Runner Hilux review and history from the New York Times.